and I'm really interested in the craft. Let's talk about using bacteria in fermentation and the varying results that can have. And that can just kind of blow their minds even more, so that when they go home, they're like, what am I drinking this flavorless, uninteresting thing for? So if it's used properly, I think it can help in telling the story and sharing the excitement of the discovery. But if it's, let out without, the Zoolander quote comes to mind, you got to tame the beast before you really...
So use your mead for good, not evil, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of good references in there.
Tame the beast before you bottle it. Got it.
Got it, yeah.
Before you distribute it.
Down! In the bottle with you.
Back in the bottle.
Tasting room is a
down,
great
go.
But don't send stuff to Whole Foods that you're not really stoked and proud about.
So, Frank, I was going to ask, where are you at with working with the team at White Labs and locking in that culture that you guys were using? Are we any step closer? We may have spoken about it, I may have missed it. But how's that going, mate, your partnership with those guys?
Yeah. So that's kind of a separate project. White Labs is really interested in understanding what yeast they've already got in their portfolio and how they perform in meads. So it's kind of a separate project, Joel. But so the sour culture, James Faw has it in the bank. Like, I'm pretty sure that if you emailed him at realbrewerseast.com and said, hey, that sour culture that you're working on with Golden Coast Mead, can I get an order of that? I think he'd be happy to work with folks on filling those orders for, probably not super cheap because it's a small specialty product right now, but he's very excited about kind of being a leader in the sour mead space in terms of providing that bacteria. And then White Labs, they've got this whole book of amazing yeasts, and they really understand how they perform in beer and wine if they're beer and wine yeast, but there's very little knowledge about how they perform in mead. So because they're local to us, and we've kind of had a relationship over years with them doing testing services for us and us sending them all kinds of experiments, they got one of their gals, Erica, who runs some of the analytical lab services, and to focus on mead making and how nutrient additions perform in different yeasts. So it's a little bit of a different project, but they did 8 yeasts, 2 different pitch rates for us, or with us, and shared them with us about 2 weeks ago, and we were very excited about the results. It's going to create another follow-up trial where we're going to kind of revise the nutrient addition approach, but hopefully what's going to come out of this is a little bit of a cheat sheet on what White Labs ale yeasts work with mead, with what nutrient additions from kind of our and their perspectives. And then they might also get into something that Ken Tram mentioned at the advanced mead making course, like if we knew what sugar content of the mead, of the honey going in was, because if we accept the premise that different yeasts like different sugars, which wine world talks about, but the beer world is like, no, yeast just like sugar. They don't care. But in the wine world, it's like, no, there's glucophilic yeast, fructophilic yeast, and maybe there's maltophilic yeast, and different honeys. So they have different dietary preferences, and different honeys have different constituent sugar makeups. So a fructophilic yeast in a gluco-rich honey might eat all the fructose it can find and then leave some of the glucose. That's probably not going to happen, actually, because glucose is relatively simple. So if a fructophilic yeast in a maltose-rich honey, the fructophilic yeast would eat all the fructose, probably all the glucose, but probably leave a good amount of the maltose. So that maltose will then be left over to create body and character on a very complex level that Ken Tram is thinking about. So White Labs has the capacity to test the honey before the fermentation and test the must or the mead after the fermentation, and then kind of deduce, this yeast seems to prefer this type of sugar in this honey. which just unlocks a whole layer of structure and complexity building in mead making that had not even been thought of, to my knowledge, before the advanced mead making course.
Cool.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff that came out of that course. I did a lot of research since I've come back with our Aussie honeys and eucalyptus, and it seems to be that it's equal amounts of glucose and fructose in the eucalyptus. And I actually, because of Frank's teachings, put down my first sour mead today, Frank.
No way.
Yeah, sour yeast from White Labs and some ale yeast, and I don't know how we're going to go. The sour yeast didn't travel too well, so we'll just have to wait and see, mate, but I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, man. Are you going to buffer it all?
I am now.
I wasn't a second ago, but now that you mention it, yeah.
I'll have to test the pH at the moment and see where it's at, but no, you're absolutely right. It does need to be buffered, doesn't it? Because if it gets down below 3, it really starts to lag, I think. That's correct?
Right. So some calcium carbonate. Chris is going to do a trial, and he's on the phone right now.
Hey, buddy. Hey, Chris.
He's lurking back there, just listening quietly.
Chris is awesome. This is the research and development guy at Golden Coast, and Christopher Herr is a gun. He's a gun operator. He's a great guy to have around.
You know, that means a different thing on this side of the pond than it does on that side of the pond. Just saying.
It's definitely a compliment over here.
I gathered that, but it's just funny because the images that it raises here are probably a little different than the ones that it raises there.
Gun operator, true.
So yeah, but we get that he's a big gun, and and that one actually does cross country lines, so that works.
Ooh, we'll stick with legend for now, hey? Legends.
There you go. Legend works.
Hello, Legend.
This is one of the best things about having Aussies around. It's just like they don't even have to try to be hilarious. It's just natural.
But when I was with Golden Coast crew, I brought my own Vegemite across, and we instigated Vegemite and pretzels as tastings, and that works really well with me, to the point when after I spent time at Golden Coast, I went across to Detroit and spent some time with Schramm's Meadery, and Ken. I actually gave him my Vegemite. He loved it that much.
You gave him Vegemite?
It's in his fridge. He loves it. So
it's a great palate cleanser.
Is that what you call it? Okay. I'm sorry. I have a good friend who's an Aussie, and she actually moved back home a few years ago to be a grandma. But she would bring Vegemite, and I just couldn't.
Well, the other name for it is the leftover crap from beer.
You're right, yeah. It's basically spooge, in a jar.
I haven't had Vegemite, but I know someone who likes Marmite, and that was pretty horrid.
Isn't that the same thing, more or less?
Similar, yes.
The yeast extract, yeah.
Okay.
They have a different flavor profile.
I guess it's good if, you need to, repopulate the yeast in your system, but is it the right sort? I don't know.
Well, it's dead, but, the thing that makes a big difference is how enthusiastic the person sharing it with you is, and Joel is the best Vegemite person.
So you're a Vegemite ambassador, is that what you're saying?
Totally.
Oh, God. So he left it with Ken. That's hilarious.
Just getting back to something Joel said before, you've been testing a whole lot of different Australian honeys and the eucalypts and whatnot. I haven't seen any evidence of such research. Is that going to be published at all?
It's called Post, dude. Post.
I'll look at where I found that, man. I found that just through some papers that I was reading, and I've got them saved on my computer somewhere. So I'll get them across to you there, Hamish. I'll flick you a link and on our Facebook page and let you have a look at it. But that was some high-level stuff that they were talking about during the science of mead making and the different fructophilic yeasts and gluconic yeasts. And it was kind of above me at that stage, and probably still is a bit beyond my talent, but it gave me the avenues that I needed to look into to increase my potential, I guess. But
so one of the staple Got Mead live questions for people is what is your favourite honey? And one thing I'd like, Chris normally asks from Mississippi, but one thing I'd like to ask you is what's your favourite Australian honey for making mead?
Is that for me?
That's for you, man.
So far, my limited research has just been with stringy bark, iron bark, yellow box, and red gum. And it was actually so I've learnt 2 different types of stringy bark. And red gum for me has been the best performer. And that sort of resonated when I was over in the States. I took some Aussie honey with me. It was a bit hard to bring a whole batch of mead across and at the mead sessions. And so I brought honey. And as well, most of the mead makers there preferred the red gum for its sort of full flavour, its toffiness, whereas, some people got a little bit of medicinal flavours or a bit of menthol, definitely from the stringy bark. So red gum for me so far, mate.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That's my favourite. So I'm glad that I don't have to search much harder.
Yeah. I think for us at the moment, the biggest issue is we just went through the worst honey record in history. I think 2014, 2015 was tough. So we want to do what Frank's leading the way with and source locally. And I've just found a guy who lives 5 kilometres away who should be able to supply me with enough red gum that if we go commercial, it's all part of that support community, support sustainability, and create a story. And getting honey from less than 5 kilometres away from where you're going to sell it from is a good part of that story.
That's spectacular.
Thanks, man.
I'll let you have the show back now, Vicky, shall I?
Vicky, hello.
She's gone to make another cup of tea.
Sorry, I was typing back to answering Frank and I'd muted myself. No. Keep on. Y'all got good conversation going, and that's what the show's about. It's not about like me talking and y'all listening. It's about everybody getting into it and having a good time. So, this is good. But Frank and I don't know, Chris, can you stay or are you gonna have to go off with Frank? I know he's got to drive. I didn't know if you were going to the Mazer Cup or not. Hello?
Chris?
Did we lose Chris?
We lost Chris.
We might have lost Chris.
We are both driving together tomorrow. So
oh, well, then maybe that was where he went then. He's probably asleep.
Yeah, but it should be fun. Well, we're looking forward to Mazer and bringing some sour mead, so anyone that's listening that'll see us there, we're eager to share some of the sour orange blossom, and then we'll have our traditional orange blossom and our California oak, which really... and we'll probably bring some Savage Bois too, and maybe some experiments. We're driving, so we've got
room,
capacity to bring good stuff.
And I'm totally hating you just a little bit because I can't be there this year, just a little bit, So drink one for me, man, because I'm really super ultra bummed that I cannot go.
Yeah, well, we'll miss you, Vicky, and you're doing so much for the community that your name will be tossed around every day.
My ears will be burning all weekend.
For you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, have a good drive. Drive careful, and text me back and let me know how things are going, man.
Will do. And Joel, great to hear your voice, man. Keep it up. Glad you're making it happen down there. And Hughes, thanks for calling in. And Blair, see you later. And EJ, take it easy, guys.
Take care.
Yeah.
Good
talking to you.
See you later.
We've got. Yeah, definitely. We've got another caller just joined. Who's calling in?
This is Chris. I got disconnected.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. I was wondering what was going on because we were like, Chris, where'd you go? Yeah, Frank just jumped off since y'all got to drive tomorrow. But you're welcome to stick around if you like. I mean, we're just kind of chitter-chattering, so.
Why not?
Okay, cool. Yeah, make Frank do the first leg. That'll work. So, yeah, Joel, sounds like you've got some interesting stuff going on over there. Are you planning to start a meadery, or is this just mead-making curiosity and pushing the boundaries kind of stuff?
No, look, and I say we, that my partner and I, Nerida, and I got into